Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and today we're looking at My Hero Academia Chapter 78. As you know, there have been some early releases. This came out late last night for myself in the UK, so I chose today to actually get the review done. And what a chapter it is. The one thing I can tell you about My Hero Academia for those that aren't up to date or those who are looking to get into it is there's never really a dull chapter. There's always something going on, and like the name of the chapter was at the moment with the current translation is Chaos Whirlpool, it literally is chaos. But before we get into the summary and the points of the chapter, thank you for those who are watching my videos, those that have subscribed, those that are commenting, liking and disliking. The ground rules as always are the same. If you like what I'm doing, please leave a thumbs up, leave it in the comment section below. If you don't like what I'm doing, thumbs down and let me know how I can improve in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed already, I will leave a thumbnail around about here somewhere. If you want to just click on that and subscribe. Also, I will leave one in the comment section or the description section below. So, in summary, the chapter is pretty much a continuation of the last chapter. It's kind of the aftermath of the battle and the ripple effect of what happens and how it affects everybody else. The message that went out, it is kind of seeing that in a slightly different light. Plus, we get to see how it affects people. Now, the way I'm guessing this is going to go, we're going to get to see a lot more characters as we go along, and every obstacle hopefully they can overcome. But without further ado, let's get into this chapter. A lovely chapter. Before we get into it, I loved it. 9 out of 10 for me. And let's get. So point number one is not as crazy as maybe the other ones. It's probably more of a subtle one, kind of a point to consider, and it is a lot to do with the conversation between Aizawa Sensei and Koto. Effectively, Aizawa Sensei remembers that he forgot to tell Izuku to come back. In the whole moment, he's kind of forgotten because he knows he's running on endorphins and he can collapse at any time. Hopefully, once he relaxes or achieves his goal. So it's a very dangerous situation to be in, being that he's in that condition with villains out there. So that's his concern. Koto, on the other hand, is wishing he's okay, and he's asking that, will he be okay? I hit him in the stomach earlier on. I didn't get a chance to say sorry. Aizawa's response to that is, don't say sorry, say thank you. And it's like a little touching scene. You can see that sensei kind of centered character that is Aizawa. He's still a pro, but he still has these teachings that he's teaching the young generation. Is a really important scene, which I'd imagine will help in the future. So that's point number one. So point number two is also a relatively simple point, and it's to do with the section around the Pussycats with Mandalay and Tiger. So basically, Mandalay is like, are you really should you really be moving in that kind of condition? And basically say, look, just tell him this message. So he gets the message out that we heard last week, is kind of reaffirmed here, and also an additional message saying, please let Ka-chan know that he's a target. So that message goes out, say, look, by all means be prepared to fight, but Ka-chan, be careful because you are a target. What's funny about that is she doesn't even know who Ka-chan is. So it's one of those that only the students really know who Ka-chan is by that name, because they don't really know him by that, because his name is Bakugao. And basically that's quite funny to me. At the same time, there's a little bit of a kind of a point from the villain side of it that kind of helps make you think a little bit, and it's to do with motivations and the reasons why the villains and why they're doing what they're doing. So for example, Magna, the guy that was fighting against Tiger, he thinks to himself, the only person that could have really given that information that was making all that noise before was the muscle dude, the guy that Izuku beat. Realizing he's been defeated by Izuku, he realizes how much of a threat this guy is, so he goes in to kill him. Now he gets intercepted by the other villain that's there, the guy that's fighting Mandalay, and his name is Spinner, and he basically says, don't you dare touch him. He was the one that Stain respected and thought would be able to shoulder the burden of the heroes. So he respects Izuku, so he goes, don't you dare harm him. So their motivations and inspirations are different. Why they're there and why they do what they do are different. It's interesting to see that although they've got the same cause, they have their own kind of inspiration and how they're going to do what they're going to do. But it's funny, this ends up with Spin actually getting a punch or a kick by Mandalay and gets taken out. So it's kind of funny that happens while he's trying to do something good while being bad. So that's point number two. Point number three is basically, now that the message is out about Bakugao or Ka-chan, we see Bakugao and we see Shuto. Bakugao doesn't really give a crap. He wants to still go into fight, but you can see that Shuto is a lot different, where he is fiery, being that Shuto is a fire element character. he's a lot more calm. He understands the situation and he's broken it down. He basically puts up an ice guard to block Bakagao from fighting, and he basically says, look, we're in a bind right now, because don't be going around just exploding things. The forest will catch fire, there's smoke behind us, we're kind of in like between a rock and a hard place basically. And then we get some information on the villain that they find, the guy that's in the straitjacket who's been killing people or beating people up. His name is Moonfish, and he's an escapee from from death row, and his ability is to shoot some stuff out of his mouth. So and Bakagao wants to fight him, but Shooter's like, wait a minute, this guy knows how to fight, you have to be careful. So it's kind of like, there's a villain in front of us, there's smoke behind us, what do we do? Which leads on to point number 4. Point number 4 is more of a conversation between Kendo and Tetsu. Tetsu is the guy that has the ability similar to Karishma from Class B, and basically they think, oh, what's going on here, what do we need to do? But what Kendo does is Kendo breaks down the situation and the smoke. She breaks it down in a really intelligent way. She goes, look, when you look at gas, normally it disperses, but this is cycling, this is lingering, and the fact that Mandalay hasn't mentioned the smoke means it hasn't reached there, which means this is a quirk. And basically the closer they get to the user, the thicker it's going to get, kind of like a whirlpool. And basically on the flip side, Tetsu basically says, we're going to go for him. At the same time, they're aware of the situation. The thicker the fog, the harder it's going to be used. Those filters are not going to be as effective. But Tetsu goes in there anyway. Now, the crazy thing to this is the user that's actually using the ability, the villain, knows they're coming and even says, or two are in the way, or as expected from the school of heroes. And he goes, but at the end of the day, they're still humans, and he pulls out a gun and starts shooting. We don't know what happens. I'm really interested to find out what's going to happen with that. And it's interesting to show some characters or villains with their quirks are built for battle, and they'll go out and fight. Like, for example, the guy that fought Izuku, but some are more for assassination or kind of background supportive fighters, like the guy he's fighting, which is why he's got a gun. So it's interesting to see the variation in characters. You've got offensive characters, supplementary characters, and I'm sure you've got healing characters as well. So it's an interesting dynamic there, which can lead on to point number 5. And point number five is actually quite an interesting one, and it really got me going because it included some of the characters that aren't always in the limelight so much, but are actually powerful characters in their own right. In certain situations, they're probably more powerful than others. And what basically happens is Izuku, he's trying to find, Bakugao, Kachan, and he gets attacked by a shadow. And who helps him? Shoji, the guy that's got like loads of arms, a big strong dude. He saves him, but he explains that, look, we got attacked by a villain and he couldn't stop his quirk from attacking. The last time we saw him was with none other than Takeyomi, the guy with the shadow. So he explains that Takeyomi tried to keep his quirk in, but he couldn't help himself. The darker it gets, the more powerful he gets. The more powerful he gets, the more out of control he gets. And then we see Takeyomi completely out of control, absorbed into the darkness that he's got as a quirk, and he's saying, look, stay away from me, you're going to die. So he doesn't want to hurt people, but there's a good chance he will hurt people. He doesn't want to kill anybody, and it ends there. So it's an interesting chapter, a really brilliant ending. It leaves me wanting more, and I cannot wait to see what happens next, which is going to lead me on to my final. So, final thoughts. Final thoughts is an interesting chapter with a few different dynamics there. We've got the idea of differences between villains. We've got some of them understanding situations more than others. We get the difference in characters as well in terms of personality rather than just your quirks. And we get to see another character out of control. Because remember, we've got this heavy focus. We're thinking, Bakugao might go bad. He might be the one that turns into a villain. But let's look at this character, Takeyomi, for example. Takeyomi could potentially, even though he does not want to be a villain or he doesn't want to hurt nobody, the villains could now, if they learn this weakness, could use this to their advantage and put them in a position where he is out of control, he does harm others, and even though he's not a bad guy, he unfortunately will harm people if he runs out of control. So I guess his journey from now to the end of the series will be about getting stronger but gaining more control. Will he stay good? Will he become bad? Will he be someone that they utilize as a tool even though he doesn't want to do any harm to people? We're gonna have to wait and see. Well, that's all for me today, guys. Please like, comments, share and subscribe. Like always, there's a thumbnail there. I will leave a thumbnail here or a button here for the last chapter reviewed and the remainder of the playlist for the series. Please by all means check out everything else I do, and like always, like, comment, share and subscribe. Peace.